Ahoy! Frosty Hobo 47 here, and I wanted to talk about the big blog post that Bungie made, the Destiny 2021 update, The Road to the Witch Queen. Now, in here, in the article where they're talking about removing sunsetting from future weapons, leave off with this brief mention about this. This is what they say. Because we won't be capping any more of our weapons, we must consider more variables in the game balance of our upcoming seasons and releases. So expect to see tuning when it comes to our biggest outliers in PvP and PvE. Yes, I'm looking at you, Fellwinters and Warmind cells. Now, to me, this reads as, beyond the Fellwinters, that's different. I'm talking about Warmind cells in this video. They're just going to nerf Warmind cells. And, I get it. They're going to do what they want to do. That's all that. But I just wanted to bring up the fact that there's a whole set of Warmind cells that nobody uses. There's a whole set of mods that no one uses. And they're the Arc Warmind cell mods. Like this. Sheltering Energy. Collecting a Warmind cell grants you an overshield. Strength of Rasputin. Collecting a Warmind cell grants you melee energy. Modular Lightning. Collecting a Warmind cell creates a burst of chaining arc energy around you. Chosen of the Warmind. Collecting or destroying a Warmind cell creates a concussive blast that pushes enemies away. Blessing of Rasputin. Collecting Warmind cell increases the chance that your next final blow with a Seraph weapon will create a Warmind cell. And then become charged with light by collecting a Warmind cell. So these are the big mods, the big Warmind cell mods that nobody uses. Nobody uses them. I can tell you why. It's because they're counterintuitive. The solar Warmind cell mods make sense. These are the things that are very flashy and super over the top and people can see them. And then you have the Void Warmind cells, which you don't really see the effect other than the fact that it puts a orange glow on enemies. But you feel your damage increase and you know that it's a good benefit. Like the Warmind's protection and power of Rasputin. These are probably the top mods in here. Then I would say it's cellular suppression and then Warmind's longevity. Light from darkness, become charged with light by rapidly defeating multiple enemies near a Warmind cell using weapons or abilities. This is interesting, but doing a hybrid build is kind of pretty off-putting in Destiny because of how few mod slots you have. You only have 5 slots for doing an actual build with the mods. But then we get to the solar ones. We have burning cells. Destroying a Warmind cell creates a burst of solar energy that causes enemies to burn for several seconds. Wrath of Rasputin. Solar splash damage final blows have a chance to create Warmind cells. Fireteam Medic. Destroying a Warmind cell creates a burst of healing for you and allies near you. Rage of the Warmind. Add solar damage to the explosions of Warmind cells you destroy. Incinerating Light. Become charged with light by rapidly defeating multiple enemies with the explosion of a Warmind cell. And then Light of the Fire. Rapidly defeating targets with the detonation of Warmind cell generates an orb of power. So, basically the point of this video is I'm trying to stress the fact that Warmind cells could be done a lot better without outright nerfing the solar ones, because that's what they're going to do. I'm predicting they're going to nerf the damage of Warmind cells and nerf the solar mods. Something I would prefer to see, and I think is a little more nuanced of a change, would be to, instead of just creating generic solar Warmind cell, depending on the element you create the Warmind cell with, is the type of Warmind cell you make. So, in this new system, you would have a mod that would go right here. It'd be like Warmind's Wrath or something like that. Warmind cell generating weapon, whatever it is. And since, for example, the Shadow Price, since it's an arc weapon, when you have that mod on and you get kills, you would generate an arc Warmind cell. And then what that would let you do is only arc Warmind cells would have the effect of arc Warmind cells. So you can't blow them up. You can't shoot them. Other people can't shoot them. They can only be picked up. That would be the key. That would actually sort of prevent this sort of blueberry effect where someone just randomly kills your Warmind cell and they don't have Warmind cell mods on, thus making your Warmind cell pointless. So that would definitely buff arc Warmind cells, because now I could generate arc Warmind cells and be able to actually go pick them up. Because that's another problem with the arc Warmind cells is if you're not communicating with people very strategically, oh, I need to pick up that specific Warmind cell, someone's probably going to blow it up. The solar Warmind cells. The mods are a bit strong, I'll give you that. So they're probably going to nerf these regardless, but basically you would need an arc weapon to generate Warmind cells. So you'd either have an arc, or a solar weapon. You'd either have your solar grenades from the Wrath of Rasputin or solar explosions. So like Tiku's, Jotun, 1K voices, stuff like that could still work and generate Warmind cells. But then you would need a solar weapon. So you would have to. So like 7th Seraph SMG, you couldn't do it with. Ikelos SMG, couldn't do it with. You would need a solar weapon. So Ikelos sniper rifle, sure. And then that would be another thing, is like the Ikelos, the ones that can already make Warmind cells, they can keep making them. That's like unique to them. But like other weapons, you would have to put a mod on. So it's actually more of a question of like, do I want to generate this Warmind cell? This is basically me just asking that the Warmind cells not be outright nerfed, and I would rather see like Void and Arc things buffed. And it would be cool to like see this sort of ability to make Warmind cells with every weapon, every elemental weapon, but then the Warmind cell be a different element based on what it is. And that means that like Void Warmind cells could only take the attributes of a Void Warmind cell mod. But to like counteract the fact that like the way these work is you have to have these equipped, it would be attributed to the Warmind cell. So if whoever created a Void Warmind cell and had Warmind's protection on, all allies would benefit of that because it's a Void Warmind cell created by the person with that mod on. This would lead to different people synergizing their builds. So you'd have one Arc player, one Solar player, and one Void player. Solar player would be the damage, Void player would be the support, Arc player would be like the champion person, like refreshing abilities and generating orbs, sort of like a semi-damage, semi-support, sort of in between those two things. And yeah, I mean, it's really just, it comes down to these Arc ones not being as good. So what I think Bungie's going to do is nerf Rage of Warmind and possibly Wrath of Rasputin. They're probably going to increase the cost of Wrath of Rasputin and then just decrease the amount of damage or range that Global Reach does. You know? That I don't know. And then that's another thing, like Global Reach, it only really affects Void and Solar. Sure, it affects this one right here, Modular Lightning, but as I said, you have to go pick that Warmind cell up. In a GM, if you get a Warmind cell to spawn, good luck going into the fray of combat and trying to proc this. Like, you're gonna die. And that leads me to the next topic. Warmind cells kind of suck in GMs because the weapons right now that we have to use them on are very, very restrictive. So you either use like the Ikelos sniper rifle or shotgun. So you're using a special weapon to kill ads. You can't be using your ammo like that in a GM. Or you're using one of the two SMGs, the 7th Seraph Auto or the 7th Seraph Service Revolver. Now the Service Revolver I would probably say is the best of all the Warmind generating weapons, other than the 7th Seraph Saw. Because, you know, it's a heavy slot, it's sort of different. Like, sometimes you want to use it to kill ads, but, you know, sometimes you want to use it for damage. So, like, I would never use this as a reliable thing for generating Warmind cells. And that's why you see players run stuff like Tiku's Divination and Wrath of Rasputin. Because this is the most consistent way of making Warmind cells. Literally not even running a Warmind cell generating weapon is the best way of generating Warmind cells. And if you were to do this change, if they were to make this change where you have to apply the certain elements, you would be restricted to only getting the damage perk out of this. So basically, if you wanted to run a support character, you would actually have to change up your build. You would have to change up to a Void weapon, which, as you can see in my inventory, I don't even have a Void weapon on me. The only Void weapon that I can think of that would actually be good in GMs right now would be a Palindrome, and that's just because of how hand cannons and bows and certain weapons scale differently into GMs compared to the rest of the game. But back to the original topic about how GMs, Warmind cells are not effective, so it's really sad to basically see Bungie say that they're going to be nerfing Warmind cells, and sure, for the majority of the game, they're like really good. But my counter argument to that is like majority of the game has 0 difficulty attributed to it. You know, Grandmasters are like the only thing in the game that's hard. You know, it's the only thing that actually punishes you for failure. Like raids, you can just restart. Master Nightfalls, you just restart at a checkpoint. Even trials, you can just reset your card. You know? Like, Grandmasters are a limited time thing that are for a very few percentage of the player base, and if y'all are gonna, if Bungie's just gonna nerf Warmind cells, it's like, that's really sad. Because these don't see that much use in Grandmasters. And if you do see them, they're not that effective. You know, you're probably going to be doing a Charge with Light, or maybe even now the Elemental Well mods in Grandmasters. It's just kind of disheartening to see them say that they're basically going to nerf them. I would rather them buff the Arc and the Void. Yes, nerf the Solar a little bit or something, but like, they're Warmind cells are very restrictive what weapons you have to use. They already require you to use it's like 12 weapons max. And then that's further restricting you. So you have one auto in the kinetic, you have one hand cannon, which is in the kinetic, then you have two SMGs, a sniper and a shotgun in the special, and then you have an LMG, and then the only other way to make Warmind cells is from Wrath of Rasputin. So like, give us a way to generate Arc and Void Warmind cells, and maybe you'll start seeing people use those ones more frequently. And a lot of the mods could be combined into that Warmind cell, like the effect or whatever. Like, what if Global Reach didn't work on Solar Warmind cells? Okay, then that sort of soft nerfs Wrath of Rasputin comboed with Rage of Rasputin, because now you're not killing an entire room, you're killing like 4 or 5 enemies, and thus decreasing the chance for another Warmind cell to be generated from that explosion. But maybe like Global Reach works for Void ones, so that would actually make sense. You're applying the buff further, so more enemies are affected by a buff or a debuff. The cellular suppression. This is a great mod, but it's again in that category where other people are going to destroy your Warmind cell, and you have to really communicate with, oh, I need to proc cellular suppression. And then on top of all of this, we have the fact that Warmind cells are balls. They roll. Like, they can fall off the map, and then it's just entirely useless. So, I mean, that's basically it. That's my rant about them saying they're going to nerf Warmind cells. I would rather... Here's the TLDR, basically. I would rather them buff Arc and Void Warmind cells than what it seems like they're going to do is drastically just nerf all Warmind cells in general. Just their damage is going to be pitiful. Which, if they do that, what's the point of even having these mods in the game? You know? Like, right now, there's no point to having the Arc Warmind cells. They're pretty bad. It's not that they're bad mods, it's just that the way Warmind cells work and, like, how Grandmasters and difficult content work is, like, you don't want to do them. Like, you could definitely use these in anything that's not a Grandmaster. Go into a Grandmaster and have fun with these, you know? You're going to die. You're not going to get through it. It's going to be... I mean, you could get through it, but you're probably not even making use of this. And that's my argument, that, like, I don't like the fact that they're saying they're nerfing them, but Warmind cells are actually pretty bad in Grandmasters. Well, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. If you like this, thumbs up is appreciated. Hitting the subscribe button would mean a whole lot to me. If you want to see more videos I put out, hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching and have a good day.